In our crazy, fast-paced world, it's so easy to feel like stress and dissatisfaction are just normal, right? But what if the solutions weren't some new app or life hack, but something thousands of years old? That's what we're diving into today. Buddha's core teachings, and how this ancient wisdom is actually a super practical toolkit for our modern lives. It all starts with one huge question.
So, let's just get right to it. The big one. The question that's probably on your mind in some way every single day. Why do we suffer? I mean, really, why do we feel all that anxiety, that frustration, that general unhappiness? It's something every single one of us deals with. And it turns out Buddha had a really clear, surprisingly direct answer.
Okay, so what's really cool is how Buddha tackled this. He wasn't like some philosopher up in an ivory tower. He was more like a doctor. Before you get a prescription, the doctor has to figure out what's actually wrong. So he diagnosed the root cause of all this suffering. And honestly, his diagnosis is probably not what you're thinking. And here it is, the big twist. This is a total shift in how we usually think about things. We're so quick to blame everything else, right? My job is stressful, this person is driving me crazy, the world is a mess. But Buddha said, hold on. The real source of the problem, it isn't out there. It's in here, inside our own minds. So let's break down the two main culprits he pointed to. All right, culprit number one is something called Trishna. You can think of it as craving. It's that little voice in your head that's always going, I want, I need. You know the one. It's this constant desire for things to be different, for more fun, more success, or just for this moment to be, well, not this moment. And that gap, the space between what you have and what you want, that's where all the frustration and dissatisfaction lives. And then, working hand in hand with that craving is asakti, which is basically attachment. This is when we grab onto things and just refuse to let go. It could be a person, a job, a belief, even a good mood. We're holding on for dear life. But here's the kicker. Everything changes. That's just a law of the universe. So when we cling that tightly, we're basically guaranteeing we're going to suffer when things, when they do what they always do and change. Okay, so that's the diagnosis. The problem's inside us. So it makes sense the solution has to be internal too, right? And this is the brilliant part. Buddha didn't just say, hey, you've got a problem, good luck. He gave us a treatment plan, a really practical, step-by-step guide. It's known as the Eightfold Path, and you should think of it less like a set of stuffy religious rules and more like a user's manual for your own mind. And this path starts with some really down-to-earth, everyday stuff. The first step is right view. That just means trying to see the world as it actually is, not all colored by our desires and fears. Once you start seeing clearly, that naturally leads to right speech. Communicating in a way that's thoughtful and doesn't cause harm. And from there, it flows right into right action, basically behaving in ways that are ethical and compassionate. See, it's all about how you show up in the world, moment by moment. The main point here is that this is not just some abstract philosophy. Each and every step of this path is a practical tool you can use to reduce that internal friction and start cultivating some real balance. But to get good at using these tools, we've got to train our minds, which brings us to a practice that often feels, pretty intimidating. For a lot of us, as soon as we hear the word meditation, we picture a monk sitting in total silence for hours on end. And that just feels completely out of reach in our busy lives. But Buddha's approach to it was actually way more accessible. This right here gets to the heart of a huge misconception. We think the goal is to somehow empty your mind while sitting on a cushion. Instead, the real teaching is to fill your mind with awareness of what you are doing right now. It's all about changing the quality of your attention. I mean, it's truly that simple and that profound. This reframes the whole idea of meditation, doesn't it? It's not something you just do for 20 minutes and then you're done for the day. It's a way of being throughout your entire day. This simple state of being present, of being mindful, that is the practice. And you can practice this anywhere. When you're walking, you can actually feel your feet on the ground. When you're eating, you can really taste your food instead of just scrolling on your phone. Even when you're talking to someone or working on a task, you can bring your full attention to it. This transforms all these ordinary, everyday activities into little opportunities for peace. So, we've looked at the diagnosis and the treatment plan. What are the essential ideas we can take away and apply to our lives? Like, right now. Let's boil it all down.
Okay, if you remember just 3 things from all of this, make it these. First, the source of our unhappiness is internal. It's our own craving and clinging. Second, there is a practical, actionable guide, the Eightfold Path, to help us navigate it. And third, that powerful tool, meditation, isn't some complex ritual. It's just the simple act of being aware, right here, right now.
At the end of the day, these aren't just ancient ideas to think about, they're active practices for a better life. Which brings us to the final and really the most important question. Looking at your own day, what is one simple activity, making your coffee, walking to your car, truly listening to a friend, where you can practice being fully aware? Because that single moment of awareness, that's where the whole path begins.